of the inaugural state visits of President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. in Indonesia and Singapore. The Philippines is open for business. It is not simply open for business. The country is proclaimed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. as Asia's fastest rising star.
Because today, we shine a spotlight on Asia's fastest rising star, the Philippines. The Philippines welcomes the next 6 years with optimism, grounded on a favorable investment policy environment, sound macroeconomic fundamentals, and a strong and decisive economic team. We are presently on a steady path to a strong recovery from the pandemic and a robust economic expansion.
Ayon pa sa Pangulo, nakatutok ang administrasyong PBBM sa pagbangon mula sa pandemya at pagpapalakas ng ekonomiya. He said that in the next 6 years, the Philippine economy is expected to outperform its regional peers in the ASEAN with more investments that translate to higher economic activity, more jobs, and a better life for all Filipinos.
My administration is committed to establishing an even more competitive business climate conducive to high-value investments. More investments translate to higher economic activity, more jobs, and a better life for all Filipinos.
Bakit nga ba mahalaga ang state visit? Ito ba ay para maglakwatsa lang ang Pangulo at ang kanyang delegasyon sa ibang bansa? Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ni Volker Nitsch ng Free University Berlin Department of Economics noong 2005, talagang kumukonsumo ng panahon at magastos ang mga state visits kaya hindi madalas itong gawin dahil sa mga kaakibat nitong seremonya, diplomatic protocol at formalidad. However, Nietzsche was able to prove in his research that state visits are effective and important. According to him, state visits are the highest form of diplomatic contact between two countries and they often mark the further development in bilateral relations. Higit sa lahat, nakakapagpaganda ang state visits ng bilateral economic relations kabilang narito ang paglago ng international trade kasama na ang exports ng mga bansa na kung saan nagsagawa ang mga lider nito ng pagdalaw sa iba't ibang mga bansa. Ano ba ang napala ng Pilipinas at mga Pilipino sa inaugural state visits ng Pangulo? It is a huge honor to be part of the inaugural state visits of President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. to our ASEAN neighbors. It started here in Jakarta, Indonesia, where we give the highlights of the important economic agreements that were forged in PBBM's historic state visit.
Our discussions began as a recognition of the long relationship that the Philippines and Indonesia have had. So long that in 2 years' time, we are celebrating the 75th year of our diplomatic relations. Although our relations go much further than that, because we consider Indonesians not only a neighbor, not only a friend, but kin.
This also includes the meeting with the Filipino community that stresses the efforts of the PBBM administration to protect the rights and the welfare of overseas Filipinos.
And we will strengthen further ang ating bilateral relationship and partnership. At pag-uusapan namin sa ating dalawang bansa kung paano tayo magtutulungan sa bagay-bagay ng security, defense, trade and investment at saka kultura. Patitibayin pa natin ang tinatawag na people-to-people ties na dinadaan natin through tourism and business travel. Asahan po ninyo na magiging fully operational na sa simula ng 2023 ang Department of Migrant Workers sa pamumuno ni Kalihim Susan Toots Ople na siya mamumuna sa pinakabago at isa sa pinakaimportanteng departamento sa aking kabinete dito sa ating gobyerno. Dahil alam naman namin lahat na napakalaki ng kontribusyon ninyong lahat sa Pilipinas, sa inyong mga pamilya at kahit na sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. At kami naman ay laging nagpapasalamat na ang inyong sakripisyo ay patuloy pa rin ninyong ginagawa. Pinapakita ninyong pinakamagandang ugali ng Pilipino at ito ay nagbibigay bunga sa pagtulong sa ating mga kababayan na naiwan sa Pilipinas.
Key highlights include the signing of the Comprehensive Plan of Action with Indonesia, covering bilateral priorities over the next 5 years, as well as more agreements in defense, cultural, and other areas of cooperation.
We continue to thank Indonesia for the assistances and their involvement in the infrastructure programs of my predecessor, President Duterte, and their continuing commitment not only to go on and with these programs, but to increase the volume and the closeness between our two countries. We also spoke at length about the role that we believe ASEAN should play while we face the difficulties in this very volatile time in geopolitics, not only in our region, but also in the rest of the world. And we agree that ASEAN is going to be the lead agent in the changes that we would like to see in continuing to bring peace to our countries. And again, the assistances that we have received from Indonesia have been a very important part of that. We continue to work on growing our relationship to making it stronger. That we, the President and I, have agreed to organize task forces already to meet and discuss, even at the technical level, no longer at the political or the diplomatic level, but at the technical level, so as to be able to take a full advantage of the opportunities that we feel that are available to us and that we will need to exploit to succeed in the near future.
Here at the Fairmont Hotel in Jakarta, the Filipino community met with President Marcos and the members of his cabinet. He was well received by our kababayans. There are about 7,451 Filipinos working and living here in Indonesia. We joined them here in a gathering organized and arranged by the Philippine Embassy in Indonesia.
Indonesia as well is we're very close, and we are like brothers. And the respect of Indonesians to the Filipinos, we're highly regarded here as being a good neighbor and a good partner in terms of business and as well as working together. When I say professionals, in all industries we're here. So as I mentioned, we're in banking, we're in infra. We are also mostly in the financial services. We have professionals like teachers as well, and the technical people and most power plants that I know that's been here. We have Filipinos that are running it. Also in the garment industry, we have Filipinos that are really running the plants. But I would say that that's the collaboration between Indonesia and Philippines, because Filipinos here are highly valued and highly skilled, and are very much appreciated by, I would probably say, most of the Indonesian conglomerates. Now, with the Philippine Business Club Indonesia, we are bridging the business between Indonesia and Philippines. We assist Philippine investors to develop and probably look at opportunities in Indonesia, as well as Indonesian companies to look into the opportunities in the Philippines. That is why I would probably say that is our main objective, and we are doing that. With right after the pandemic, I believe that the visit of the president is really very opportune, and the business that is going to be, the continuing growth of the business is there.
Ano po ba yung nakikita ninyo na maaaring agreements or deals na pwedeng madala or mapirmahan ng Pangulo? And being in the business sector as well, what other opportunities do you see where the Indonesian counterparts can bring into the Philippines and vice versa?
I cannot say the type of industries, but there will be. And these are the probably important industries that Indonesia has, and that's going to be what the Filipino needs. As to the second question, I would probably say that the Indonesians are looking now into opening up the business, investing in the Philippines as well, and I would probably say that the state-owned enterprise are looking at infra projects in the Philippines, and they would want to share that expertise when it comes to airports, to roads, to high-rise, to power energy, and as well as I would probably say dams and agriculture as well. The Indonesians, when I say that, they respect the Filipinos here because they highly regard our skills and experience that we give them, and at the same time, the growth of their business. So we help in that. As far as Indonesians, what can we learn from the Indonesians? The Indonesians are patient. And they would like to always, try to see how they can work together with Filipinos. If you look at us, we look the same. So they look at me. If I'm not wearing a barong, they will probably say they will talk to me in Bahasa Indonesia, vice versa. So I can see a lot of trade relationships that's going to happen soon. For the small, medium, and enterprises, the key is during the pandemic, you have seen a growth of what we call homemade industries products that we in Indonesia, they really supported them. So in the Philippines, I would probably say that because of that, there are new products, there are new technologies that are coming out, and these are open to the Philippines. And I believe that halal is going to be within the year. I hope that will be done. That's a big opportunities for our Filipino small SMEs to be able to develop that. We're not only looking at big businesses, but also on the SMEs. There could be a lot of that can really happen to come visit Indonesia. We ask the Indonesians to come visit the Philippines, and we're working closely with the Philippine Embassy in Indonesia as well as the Indonesian Embassy in the Philippines.
Here in Indonesia, you know why we like here? Because they think high on us because mostly professionals. Naging bahagi din kami ng kanilang success. Not before, yeah? But now no more.
Why is that so much?
Hindi, kasi marami na rin, there's so many intelligent people now also. The problem with Indonesian, they are good Indonesians, they're also smart, only just because of English. So they are shy, that's only the problem. Sa Indonesia, you know why I love this country so much? Because they are very nationalistic. Which I'm so sad about what's happening in the Philippines. They are very nationalistic and patriotic, especially for Independence Day. Actually, the Independence Day in Indonesia is August 17. They start already August 1st until the 31st. And they all put flags in every places. Everywhere you go. Even from the small store, from the big store, everywhere you go. And they are very proud of their flag. Very patriotic. Dito ko lang nakita na napakaganda ang mga OFWs. Na wala kang makikitang naghihirap or kung lahat ang buhay nila ay sobrang ganda. Pero sa totoo lang talagang sobrang ganda kung ikaw ay narito. Especially for the being a professional. because everything is free. Education, they will provide for it, everything. And then they have big houses. They have, meron pa silang drivers, bodyguard at home. Kasi you know what, the consultant here, I mean like the consultant, the accountant, how much did they get? The lowest salary is $12,000 or $10,000 per month. And free in everything. Kaya dito magugulat ka pa, mga 35 years, meron pa nga mas matanda sa akin, na hanggang ngayon nagtatrabaho pa sa kanila. At alam mo ba, minsan ang nakakatawa dito or minsan sad din, kasi yung mga batang Pilipino hindi marunong mag-Tagalog pero magaling mag-Indonesian. Oo, kasi we only use Indonesian language.
Ito ba ay nakikita nyo rin na parang marami bang mga Indonesian businessmen din na potential na palagay ninyo pwedeng mag-open din sila, mag-invest din sila sa Pilipinas para ma-expand yung mga businesses ng Indonesians dito? May mga nakakita ba kayong opportunities na ganon?
Parang mas nakikita ko, mas maraming Pilipino ang mas opportunity para dito. Kasi because this is a big market, because Indonesia is a very big country. It's just like America. Oo, tapos hindi mo rin masabi dahil 'di ba ang ating constitution, 'di ba yung sinasabi nga yung 'di ba for business, 'di ba, yung 60 to 40, yung foreign ownership. Dito hindi. As long you invest here, you can own your own company. Kasi it create jobs for the Indonesian. Yon ang kaya nakita mo talo ang Pilipinas dahil doon. Kaya dito lahat kahit sino ka pwede kang pumasok. Basta importante lang sa kanila is the job.
I'm quite happy that this has really come about and has strengthened our relationship, especially now that I'm also married to a Filipina. I'm very glad that our ties have strengthened and we should play a very dominant role in Asia, and the whole world. The Filipinos and Indonesians, we share the same sentiments. We have a lot of characteristics that are common to each other. Our disadvantage, if you talk about management and professionalism, our advantage is our weakness to speak English, because we were never brought up with English as a language to learn. We were under the Dutch, so the more affluent and more educated people were Dutch speaking. But at any rate, when the Filipinos came here and we have the same color, we look almost the same, the advantage was to put them forward when it comes to speaking English and discussing contracts and stuff like that. So, but in terms of capabilities, we've got also very bright Indonesians around. It has actually changed drastically. I mean, if you go now to primary schools and all that, English is emphasized. But it wasn't so in the past years after we gained independence. You have to be a real linguist to be able to command English. But now, English being so important in the business world, they're putting emphasis on it. The Filipinos have been here for a long time, so this relationship is actually fostered for quite a long time. The fact that the president has made Indonesia his first visit, and a very strategic one in terms of discussing defense and so forth, it would really put a very strong stamp on cooperation and mutual benefit.
We remain stable as we grow out of the pandemic economy, and we work together and help each other to develop regional peace and regional development. And for that, I thank once again the President for his very kind invitation. I believe that we have made the proper choice in coming to Jakarta as my first state visit as President of the Philippines, and I believe that this is only the beginning of many more things to come between Indonesia and the Philippines. Once again, I thank the President, Madam First Lady. I also thank the Indonesian people for their openness and their warmth as they welcomed us since we have arrived here. Thank you very much.
This portion
안녕하세요.
Ba't kayo naghiwalay?
Niyaya ko siya magpakasal. Tapos, hindi siya pumayag.
Kasi naman, hindi pa ako handa, no?
Bakit?
Dapat siya na yung lumalapit sa'yo.
Okay ka lang?
Kahit ako'y malayo, ikaw pa rin ang nasa isip ko.
Kahit ako'y malayo, ikaw pa rin ang nasa isip ko.
Ikaw pala kumagat sa akin, ha?
Ikaw pala yung kumagat sa akin, ha?
Doc Willie, ikaw ang boyfriend ni Juliet?
Yes, Abok.
Nakita ko na kasi yung pinalit sa akin ni Juliet, eh.
May tsura?
Nakita mo yung mukha ko?
Oo.
Bawasan mo lang ng 10 kagapuhan. Ganun yung itsura niya.
Pasiglahin ang araw ng linggo. Kayo'y maaantig.
Huwag mo ubusin ang luha mo sa wala dito.
Mapapaisip.
What are we gonna do?
Matatawa.
Why so much food? Even no money, no honey, we make utang-utang.
Mapapahanga. At mapapainda. Kasama si Daki. Ang nag-iisang comedy king Dolphy.
Ano pangalan mo? Big po. Big po. Ano mo si Fernando po?
Tito Vic and Joey.
Mahirap ikwento, Vicky. Mahabang istorya.
At marami pang artista na pinagigiliwan noon magpahanggang ngayon. Sine Throwback. Tuwing linggo, alas 12 ng tanghali sa Net 25.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's get together sa Net 25.
From Jakarta, Indonesia, the President is now here in Singapore upon the invitation of Singaporean President Halima Yacob. The President will also have separate meetings with the Singaporean President and Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to discuss the close bilateral relations between the two countries as well as regional and global issues. And the President and Lee will also witness the signing of agreements in the areas of counterterrorism and data privacy. And similar to what happened in Jakarta, Indonesia, the President and his delegation will be attending economic briefing and business roundtable meetings where he is expected to invite investments in the Philippines to create more job opportunities in the country.
I look forward to closer ties and stronger ties between our two countries. Our candid exchange of views, constructive discussions, and the governments that were signed this morning have given us renewed optimism for an even brighter future. And so, on this, I invite you now to rise and to join me as we toast to the continued success and prosperity of the Republic of Singapore, the enduring friendship between the Philippines and Singapore, spanning 53 years of strong and vibrant relations, and the continued good health of Her Excellency President Halima Yacob and His Excellency Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Cheers! Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
And behind me is the University Cultural Center, where one of the auditoriums will be used for the Filipino community to meet him, similar to what happened in Indonesia, where it was well received by a lot of Filipinos. And we are expecting the president also to discuss issues and discuss ways and the commitment of the government for the protection and welfare of overseas Filipinos.
Kami po na nandito ay inyong lingkod bayan at patuloy na magbibigay ng serbisyo po. Kaya namin pinag-iibayo rin ang ating gobyerno ang paghatid sa inyo ng maayos, mabilis at pulidong serbisyo dito sa Singapore sa pamamagitan ng ating embahada. At dahil prioridad ng administrasyong ito ang kapakanan ng mga OFW at ang kanilang pamilya sa Pilipinas, ito yung pagbabago na dinala ng ating Secretary Toots Ople. Ay sabi niya, alagaan natin yung mga OFW, ngunit wag natin kakalimutan, alagaan din natin ang kanilang pamilya sa pamamagitan ng mga scholarship, pamamagitan ng healthcare, pamamagitan ng housing. Yan po ang aming tinatrabaho ngayon. At nasisimulan na natin para naman, yung trabaho ninyo ay hindi nyo kailangan isipin ang kalagayan ng inyong mga mahal sa buhay. Sa simula ng 2023, na fully operational na ang Department of Migrant Workers sa pamumuna ni Secretary Susan Ople, ay makikita na po natin na mararamdaman na po ninyo ang kamay ng ating pamahalaan sa pagtulong sa lahat ng bagay na hinaharap ninyo, problema man o hindi, ay sila ay nandyan at wala silang ibang trabaho kung hindi alagaan ang ating OFW.
Natuwa nga kami kasi ang dami namin na-meet sa labas na kinonsider ng mga ng mga employer nila na para makalabas sila ngayon kahit hindi weekend. So para mag-attend at para mapuntahan si PBBM.
We are supporting the OFW global groups in behalf of the Department of Migrant Workers. We are here to ipamulat sa kanila na we are already a Department of Migrant Workers in Philippines.
At least ngayon po, yun yung tinatanggal na yung marami tayong kailangan puntahan kung saan hingi ng tulong. Ngayon, pag hingi ng tulong ang isang OFW, sa DMW na. So, kumbaga, isa na lang siya. Nasa isang bahay na siya. Iba ang DOLE, nandun yung iLab, iba naman yung OWA, iba naman yung POAA, the DSWD, nakasama nila ang the other government agencies na mga maliliit. Pero ngayon, kapag ang isang OFW ay humingi ng tulong, DMW, meron na tayong nag-start na sila ng website para doon sa emergency ng kung mga kailangan ng OFW, nasa DMW na siya. Doon na lang talaga tayo pupunta. Ang puso ng ating presidente ay number 1 din, sinabi nga niya, OFWs. Yung tinuturing na bagong bayani na buhay na bayani na alam natin na saan man siya magpunta, alam niya na mahal niya ang Pilipino. Sabi nga niya, ibalik natin taas noo kahit kanino, ipakita natin na tayo ay magaling dahil tayo ay Pilipino.
Our Filipino people are very trustworthy. They are dependable, but of course, challenges abounds. For example, homesickness, loved ones, struggles of finances, and management ng finances, lalo na back home. Because padala, nawawala, padala, nagagasto kung saan. And nakakalungkot, broken relationship between mother and father, and consequently sa children. Nakakaiyak, but it's a reality. But again, laban lang. Laban lang ang dating, okay? Honestly, illicit relationship. I'm not putting down, but I'm describing black is black, white is white. But as a person na I want to help, okay? As much as I can. So I'm there to help as much as we can as a community. Yeah. Actually, it's really a very welcome development. And if there is something that I would like to thank the new administration this far of his very new administration, that one. I'm really happy with that because, of course, with the new leadership, with the people there who are very much loving, many of these will be addressed. Okay, many of these, and especially helping the people back home. Because here, trabaho lang talaga. Kalimitan, some of them are working. They are not mindful of challenges. Because, I mean, for one, they come here, they know the challenges, balita, and of course, the comfort and all those pleasures, okay? I mean, maganda naman ang lugar. I mean, we cannot, I mean, Singapore is one of the best nation to go. The leadership is very good. Salute, okay, for that. But on the other hand, there are personal problems. So if that can be addressed, that issue, both to the workers here and connecting to the families, okay, it will be one of the best issues to be tackled with, okay. Filipinos are rising up now and having more mind on being entrepreneur, okay. I think going to their needs as well as asking the leadership of this nation, which I believe a real friend of the Philippines, okay, is connecting with the business community. And one of the things that I would like to address in this, of course, employment, hiring people are part of investment. Maybe strengthening in that area, and especially in the recruitment side, and removing those people who are, in a sense, taking advantage of the naivety of Filipinos coming, especially from the provinces. Okay, if that can be addressed, our nation, definitely the Philippines, will be more, in a sense, understanding of the international community, more reliable. I would like to congratulate the President against all odds, okay, and for the critic as well as for those who are supporting. Really, congratulations. And for me, there is no doubt. Amidst the challenges, he is the one that the Lord God put in the Philippines this time, okay?
Importante yung kanyang invitation to the investor. Diyan nagsisimula ang trust and confidence ng mga investor at maipakilala niya ang mga incentives. Marami tayong incentives sa investment, so the foreigners can avail of the incentive at maganda mag-do business in the Philippines. We have to introduce yung mga incentives laid down by the Board of Investment. Meron tayong tinatawag na Investment Priority Plan. So nandoon nakalatag ang mga industries that will be given incentives by the government. For example, there will be a 7-year income tax holiday. Tapos yung mga importation of capital equipment to the Philippines, tax-free. And marami pang mga perks. So the investor will be wise to avail of these incentives para sila ay makapag-start immediately in their business. As the President said a while ago in his speech, ang health industry, Singapore is in need of the health. So they're inviting healthcare workers. And aside from healthcare workers, mga professionals, IT, accountants, lawyers, and many more.
Nakita natin, very warm welcome ng mga Pilipino. Sabik na sabik sila sa presidente natin na makita. Humuhugot din sila ng inspirasyon sa ating presidente, lalo na ang Filipino community na alam naman natin matagal at malayo sila sa kanilang pamilya. So nung makita nila yung delegates from the Philippine government, nagbigay ito ng inspiration sa kanila to push forward pa sa kanilang mga ginagawa and endeavors dito sa Singapore. Magpapasalamat ako doon sa sinabi nyo na naging platform po yung Net25 and your program for promoting our culture and our artists. Kasi ang programa, sir, ng Department of Tourism to promote our culture, to promote the Philippines, we as a gallery owner sa One Gallery, ang trabaho namin to promote the artists and their artworks. So dito, ang Singapore, alam natin, this is a gateway to the world na pinakamalapit in proximity sa Pilipinas. Marami ding opportunity na nag-a-arise dito dahil sa collaboration ng Philippine Embassy in the Singapore through Art Trek. Magkakaroon po ng showcasing the talents of the Filipinos dito sa Singapore, yung mga artworks nila, sculptures nila, this coming October po through Art Trek Singapore venture po yun. Tayo naman, dinadala naman natin yung mga artworks ng Singaporeans doon sa Philippines. So doon nagkakaroon ng cultural exchange po. Sa amin naman dito sa One Gallery po, we're just pushing forward at nakikisakay sa magandang pagtanggap ng Singapore's and the rest of the world sa art community na from the Philippines. If I mention, isa sa mga naging gateway natin para magkaroon ng traction, yung ginawa ni Sir Ronald Ventura, to name a few, Sir Ben Cab, pagka nakikita nila sa auction houses from Christie's, Sotheby's, which hindi lang sa Hong Kong meron, kundi meron dito sa Singapore, London, and New York. Nakikita nila yung kung gaano kaganda, kahusay ang mga Pilipino. It's of international standard. Sila yung nagtaas ng level po para maipakita, mai-showcase kung ano ang meron tayo sa Pilipinas. During 2004, meron tayong tinatawag na isang artist na gumawa siya ng isang painted bridge dito sa Singapore. Meron din po silang naging collaboration. Nagkaroon siya ng residency dito. Ang pangalan niya si Pasita Abad. And unfortunately, pagkatapos niya magawa yung painted bridge, which is, we call it, sabi nga ng mga Singaporeans, this is the gift to the Singaporeans, to the people of Singapore, ay namayapa na siya. Kinilala yun. Hindi pa ganun kalawak ang pagtanggap ng Singaporeans noon sa mga Filipino artists, pero yung respeto nandun. At naipakita yun ni Pasita Abad. Sa art naman, meron din tayong brand eh. Pag alam nilang Filipino ito, hindi bibitawan o hindi isasabit yan sa wall o kaya i-display as sculpture kung hindi yan talaga superbly done. So meron tayong mataas na pagpapahalaga, katulad ng na-mention natin kanina, Juan Luna, Resurrection Hidalgo, kinilala sa buong mundo during the 1900s. Ganun din ang pagtanggap nila. Hindi nagbabago yun. Yun lang opportunity that we're creating for the Filipino artists. Yun ang sinusubukan natin, medyo magkaroon ng breakthrough para sa mga artists natin. Maraming magagaling na Filipino. Kailangan lang natin ng isang platform, ng isang avenue, at mai-promote sila everyday. Kasi nandyan lang sila. Habang nag-uusap tayo, may pinapanganak na naman na magiging magaling na artist someday.
Meanwhile, here in Singapore, there is flower power, or some call it the Orchid Diplomacy. That is how the second day of the state visit started, with an orchid named after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos at the Singapore Botanic Garden. Behind me is the orchid, and it is called Dendrobium Ferdinand Luis Marcos. Singapore has a lot of memberships in international organizations. This includes the APEC, G20, Interpol, ASEAN, and the United Nations. It has a population of 5.2 million. And the languages spoken here are Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and English. And the form of government is unitary multi-party republic with one legislative house. And there are about 200,000 Filipino workers in Singapore. 60% are professionals and skilled. The Philippines and Singapore has a 53 years of relationship that was in May 16, 1969, where the Philippines and Singapore established their diplomatic relations. And also, the Philippine-Singapore total trade hit $11.14 billion, the single biggest source of foreign investments in the Philippines, and that was in 2021. As far as tourism is concerned, Singapore was the second largest source of tourist arrivals in the Philippines within ASEAN, with almost 20,000 tourists visiting the Philippines. The state visit to Singapore of President Ferdinand Marcos reflects the abiding bonds of friendship between the government and the peoples of both countries and strong mutual commitment to further strengthen Philippine-Singapore relations. In Singapore, the following bilateral agreements were signed: the arrangement concerning the assignment of a team to the Regional Counter-Terrorism Information Facility in Singapore between the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Singapore Armed Forces. Also, the Memorandum of Understanding in the field of digital cooperation between the DICT of the Philippines and the Ministry of Communications and Information of Singapore, the MOU for the collaboration and development of the new Clark City, the renewal of the MOU on cooperation in personal data protection, and the renewal on the MOU on water collaboration between Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System of the Philippines and the Public Utilities Board of Singapore. The state visit in Singapore was also highlighted by the joint communique on the recruitment of Filipino healthcare workers between the Department of Migrant Workers of the Philippines and the Ministry of Health of Singapore was also signed, and the discussions on the strengthening of the Philippine-Singapore partnership and the views on the regional and international development and the emerging from COVID-19 stronger together. In conclusion, according to the joint communique, the leaders commended the excellent and multifaceted development of Philippine-Singapore relations and agreed to continue enhancing bilateral cooperation ahead of the 55th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2024. From his state visit in Indonesia alone, over $8 billion worth of investment pledges has been secured by President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. A total of $8.4 billion worth of memorandum of understanding and letters of intent were signed at the Jakarta Business Roundtable meeting. The investments in textiles, garments, renewable energy, satellite gateway, wire, global technology, and agri-food is amounting to $822 million. The state visit also yielded $7 billion in infrastructure for PPP, or the private-public partnerships, such as a C5 4-level elevated expressway. Signed was the supply of coal and fertilizer with a 662 million trade value. The PBBM administration also anticipates that these deals will generate at least 7,000 new jobs. Indonesian business people were reported to be very enthusiastic and committed to expand their business operations in the Philippines.
However successful and productive this trip was, of course, it is always going to be good to come back home. At lalong-lalo na kapag tayo merong namang magandang balita ng kaunti na sasabihin natin may pasalubong na maaring matanggap natin kapag tayo ay binuo natin lahat ng sinimula namin dito sa nakaraan na bisita, na state visit na ito. I am proud to announce that we have signed and sealed a total of 10 letters of intent and 12 MOUs in the sectors of renewable energy, data centers, e-commerce, broadband technology, startups, government housing, and agriculture, and witnessed the signings of several letters of intent and MOUs from 22 Indonesian and Singaporean investors. These investments, if we put it all together, value $14.36 billion or 804.78 billion Philippine pesos. This will support our country's economic recovery efforts and create more jobs for Filipinos here in our country.
And katulad nga ng report, magkano ang kinita ng Pilipinas, Eden?
Ang may uwi ng investment ay nasa 14.36 billion US dollars. Pero ang katumbas niyan sa ating pera sa Philippine peso ay 804.78 billion pesos.
So may baon
It's so
kami,
huge.
may baon kami pa uwi ng Pilipinas. Open for business o uwi na sa Pilipinas. Let's go.
This sport?
Ba't kayo naghiwalay?
Niyaya ko siya magpakasal, tapos hindi siya pumayag.
Kasi naman, hindi pa ako handa, no?
Bakit?
Dapat, siya na yung lumalapit sa'yo.
Okay ka lang?
Kahit ako'y malayo, ikaw pa rin ang nasa isip ko.
Kahit ako ay malayo, ikaw pa rin ang nasa isip ko.
Ikaw pala kumagat sa akin, ha?
Ikaw pala yung kumagat sa akin, ha?
Doc Willie, ikaw ang boyfriend ni Juliet?
Yes, Abo.
Nakita ko na kasi yung pinalit sa akin ni Juliet, eh.
May tsura?
Nakita mo yung mukha ko?
Oo.
Gawasan mo na ng 10 kagapuhan. Ganun yung itsura niya.
Diretsahang mga tanong.
Nalaman mo raw na pinalitan ka through social media lang. Ano naging feeling mo doon?
Punto por punto.
Kumirot ang iyong puso.
Yes, tao lang, attorney.
Walang isyong makakaligtas.
Government position or artista?
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panelo at former FDCP Chair Liza Dino.
Kung sino ka mang nag-post. Meron pa akong narinig na tatakbo daw ako ng senador, kaya ako daw yun ginagawa.
Sa Counterpoint, tuwing Miyerkules, alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
Hindi ko siya kilala, pero ang dami ninyang ginawang issue sa akin.
Nagiging maayos ang lahat.
Magtago kayo sa ilalim ng kama, bilis!
Magkapatid na pinaglayo ng trahedya mula pagkabata, magkahiwalay na tinahak ang magkaibang landas. Ang isa'y nabulat at nabuhay sa karangyaan, ang isa na may nananatiling umaasa na makikita pa ang kapatid na pinakamamahal. Abangan ang isa na namang madamdaming kwento. Handog ng Net 25. Malapit na! This portion.
Come on, boy!
And that caps the successful first state visit of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to Indonesia and Singapore. The new bilateral agreements with each of the countries augur well for the Philippines to bring in more investments and strengthen investor confidence. With over $8 billion worth of trade sealed during the last 4 days, we hope businesses and the economy get the boost we need. And our buzzword of the week is bilateralism, a situation in which two countries or organizations have a trade agreement or work together to achieve something. Maraming salamat sa isang oras na pagsama sa amin upang tunghayan ang isa na namang makabuluhang usapan ukol sa posibleng dagdag negosyo para sa ating bansa dito lang sa Open for Business Hanggang sa susunod na linggo, samahan ninyo kaming muli dito sa Open for Business. Catch us too on our Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe on our social media page at Net25 TV. We bring you more insights from industry experts, thought leaders, CEOs, and featured SMEs. Together, let us help business development in the Philippines. Let together we help encourage business development in the Philippines. Sharpen your business acumen, feel the pulse, and set the trend for as long as you are informed and open for business. Maraming salamat. This is Cesar Vallejos.